get a further thought on this from Kate Hardcastle, who's a retail and consumer expert from Insight with Passion. Hello, Kate.
Hi, good evening.
Good to have you on the radio this evening, though not such good news for Debenhams. I mean, let me cut to the chase. Is this about the demise of the high street and sadly this was inevitable, or is this about COVID-19 in your view?
This is about Debenhams and its place in our market as a retailer who has lost favour with consumers over the years, troubled with challenging issues financially, and then hitting a point where with COVID-19 and the closure of traditional stores, certainly, even though it's running its online business, it is struggling and can foresee no positivity going forward. So what it's going to do is repackage its business to try and keep going. And it's doing that by this light touch administration, which means it would go into administration, but the current management there would keep on going. They keep on running the business under the support and under the guidance of the administrators.
Okay, because I mean, in the past we've spoken about things like House of Fraser, so you could make the observation that when it comes to us talking about Debenhams is not a massive surprise. Now you have to forgive me because my online experience of Debenhams is the total sum of zero. So when we talk about their online offering, is that the way forward for them? Do you think?
Department stores used to have a real place in our hearts because they would bring collectively brands together in one place for us to look at.
Yeah.
With the rise of online, we can obviously be our own curators. We can find the brands that we want. We can engage with products via social media. And it means that we're not as reliant on them for that services. Now, if you look at some department stores that have really rejuvenated, particularly at the top end, then you've got Selfridges in London that are very successful. You've got Bottom & Masons, but also you could also class Primark as a type of department store that has actually been successful at the discount side. So I would argue actually that it's not particularly that department stores are out of favour, but the house of brands where all of the brands within it are really available elsewhere and have no real other offer is challenging. Now, Debenhams had quite a unique offer, and 10, 15 years ago was celebrated for the fact it bought its own designers at Debenhams range, products exclusively for them, made in association with highbrow designers, John Rocher, etc. But even that has lost favour and lost gravitas with consumers because it didn't rejuvenate enough. So we've got a brand here that is waylaid with trouble, hasn't strategically refound its new feet. It has as much opportunity online as any other retailer, but hasn't perhaps been first to market or quick enough to adapt to that, and therefore has struggled, has had a huge turnaround in their boardroom, constant changes in direction, changing directors too, and now it's hit with this challenging environment that every single retail organisation finds itself in, bar the essentials like the grocery stores.
Yeah, and let me just tap into your expertise and knowledge about where we are with the high street whilst I've got you on BBC Radio London, because one of the things that could be a possibility is surely if we are living as we are under lockdown. We have seen the queues at the supermarkets, but also I've seen people online saying, well, I've been using my local, they call it corner shop, or my convenience store, some of which are independent operations. I've also seen a resurgence in some parts of the country of butchers and greengrocers doing deliveries for people. Out of this particular coronavirus, COVID-19, and the measures in place, might we see some benefit to the high street in the future?
So I'm always someone who likes to work positively.
Yeah.
We are going to see massive changes. The changes were already afoot. And I think that all that this situation is going to do is just basically speed everything up. Right. So we'll see more people using online because they've had to. Yeah. Perhaps some people who are resistant to it have found that they've had to use it and it wasn't as scary after all. I think you will see survival of brands that are the fittest and the strongest and have really come to fruition in the consumer's mind and proven themselves to be useful, or have been able to survive a period of quiet time, and the business still celebrates its consumers when they come back to it because they've found that they're loyal to it, they've found use and purpose for it. I hope we will see rejuvenation in independent stores because I think they have been the saviour of many communities, and I think they've rallied in their communities to give so much back. But I think what we've got to be realistic about is it's going to remind everyone of everything they buy that perhaps they don't need. So they're going to be much more frugal in cautionary times ahead, and therefore retailers that do have a future are going to be ones that have got a real good offer for the consumer.
Really good getting your thoughts on. Thank you, Kate. That's Kate Hardcastle, retail and consumer expert from Insight with Passion.